first, before we get too deep in, let me just say I respect Carl Benjamin very much. I like watching him comment on what's going on over in the UK with the Restore and the Reform parties, battling it out for the conservatism of the UK. Of course, he's also known as Sargon of Akkad, and he has a Sargon of Akkad channel. He also has the YouTube channel podcast of the Lotus Eaters. So he's probably, between all of his channels, he's probably got 1.5 million to maybe even 2 million subscribers, give or take. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap. And he's somebody I do listen to quite often because he has a good pulse on the politics and the issues that the UK is currently struggling through. Well, he decided to talk about men's issues and women's issues and dating. And he brings up an example of a post that a person named Simp Police had posted on X today. And this got 28,000 likes. As a matter of fact, it's got 2,000 likes in just the 5 minutes since I last looked at this thing. So it is being liked quite a bit. And it's only got 270 comments. And yes, some of the comments are negative of it, but many are in agreement with it. It starts off with a screenshot of a woman saying, "We ain't splitting any bills, sir." And he says, "Okay, what did you have in mind, ma'am?" And she says, "You've got this, Mr. Tech Startup. I struggle to pay rent." And he says, "So what are you offering me if I were to pay?" She says, "Yikes, I provide good company." And he says, "So do I. I've worked hard to get where I am in life. Shame on you for trying to take advantage. I'd suggest the value menu at BK." Now, I will let Carl go down and tell us what he thinks of this, but I just want to put out there, before we even get into what he says, the phrasing of this is she's a money grabber. Now, as a matter of fact, back in 2019 or 2020, I did a story on this when it broke. And it was right here, Foodie Calls. Scientists studied women who go on dates for free meals and found one shared personality trait. And of course, they're part of the dark triad personality trait. But 25% went on Foodie Calls. And the average woman said she went on 6 or 7 of them. So there's a real risk that a guy might just be used for dinner. Now, if we come back and look at this screenshot here of what he was talking about, she comes right off the top with, "We ain't splitting any bills, sir." We don't know the conversation before this, but we do know she came right out and said, "I'm not paying anything." And then she basically said, "I'm broke." All right, so let's listen to Carl Benjamin's 1980s boomer take on dating. And in the past, I would have agreed with him, but things are so much different than they were even 8 or 10 years ago. Give me 60 seconds to tell you about Rumble Wallet. As you guys know, I've recently gotten back into crypto after being out of it for a few years, and I'm using Rumble Wallet to do so. If you've ever been curious about buying and investing in crypto, Bitcoin, stablecoins, USAT, or even gold-backed stablecoins, but felt like it was too complicated, Rumble Wallet is an easy way to get started. You can buy, sell, and manage your cryptocurrencies all in one place, and the app is super straightforward. Getting started is simple. Just download the Rumble Wallet app, sign in with your existing Rumble account. No need for a new login. Complete a few security steps, and you're set up in minutes. You can start with just a few dollars, and with MoonPay built into the Rumble Wallet, you can easily buy crypto using your credit card, debit card, or even a bank wire. So if you've been thinking about the advantages of crypto, download Rumble Wallet now. Click my link in the description or search Rumble Wallet in your app store, or you can use the QR code that is on screen right now. Download Rumble Wallet today and move your assets where they belong, in your hands, in your control. Remember, Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. See terms at wallet.rumble.com. And make sure to use my link that I've included down below to let Rumble know I've sent you.
On the other side of this, there's this. This is an exchange that I saw going around Twitter today, and the Simp Police failed to understand what is actually happening here. And in the same way that the women sabotaging each other and Hassan trying to sabotage his own audience, the man that she's talking to has so internalized the sort of modern equalitarian feminist doctrines through the lens of the red pill that they failed to understand what this woman's asking for and what he's supposed to be doing, right? So she says, "We ain't splitting any bills, sir." And he says, "Oh, what did you have in mind, ma'am? You got this, Mr. Tech Startup. I struggle to pay rent. So what are you offering me if I were to pay? Yikes, I provide good company." She says, "So do I. I worked hard to get to where I am in life. Shame on you for trying to take advantage. I suggest the value meal at BK." Right. You failed to understand what she's asking for here. Because what she is saying to you here is, are you going to take ownership of me? So for...
No. Okay, so he says, she's asking, are you going to take ownership of me? Are you going to be a man? Are you going to, pay for the date and take care of me? And are you going to be a leader? Just no, not even close to that. We're talking about money here. We're not splitting any bills. What did you have in mind? And what he's saying is he's trying to protect himself from getting used for a free meal. That's in essence what is happening. And number two, remember something like 98.5% of women only respond to the top 5 or 10% of men, meaning 98% of women are not responding to guys that are average or slightly above average. There's a lot of guys that get nothing. So this guy is talking to woman after woman after woman after woman after woman. He has all the choices in the world. And instantly she's coming out starting to talk about money and are you gonna pay for the date? And you need to handle this. And he's like, look, what am I getting in return? Maybe he does mean sleeping with me. Like, okay, you're broke. You want me to take you out? You want me to pay? You better sleep with me. Because he has so many options available to him that's what he's got. And if she says no, you can see right here, he says, hey, shame on you for trying to take advantage of me to get you a free meal. I suggest the value menu at BK, and he bounced.
For example, I assume he asked her out on the date. Why would splitting bills even come up? What you're signaling to her there is, oh, we're equals. That's not what she's looking for. And that's not what you should be projecting. Obviously, she's not paying the bill for your date, right? And now don't get me wrong, I appreciate there are a lot of guys going, yeah, but there are a lot of terrible women out there who are just going to take advantage of me for my money. And yeah, sure, there are. And this is just part of the risk of dating, right? And being in relationships, you're gonna find those people who are not like extending the hand for you to receive what you're actually looking for. But when you do find that one that does, I mean, maybe this girl's being completely forthright about her intentions. When you find that one who does, you're going to send the wrong signal by saying, well, actually, I want to approach you on an equalitarian basis. I want you to think of us as being equal, and therefore we'll split the bill. And like, you won't think of yourself as being taken in by what I'm doing. This is very formal. And it's like, no.
I so like Carl so very, very much. I genuinely believe he is so intelligent. He has overthought this, and he's overleaping what's actually going on, because he's starting to boil down into like, well, let's talk about the dynamics and how men and women interact. And, maybe you're trying to be egalitarian and you're meeting her on, because women are supposedly feminists and you're trying to be, it's beautiful and it's lovely and it's very contemplative and deep thinking, but it is just so much simpler than that. If you're a young man today, or even if you're my age, I mean, if you're any man that spends any amount of time on the internet today, you see video after video after video of women demanding so much from men. And I won't get into it again because it's very easy to go down that rabbit hole. And women keep putting their demands out there. And what they're trying to do is it's actually a competition between women. Yes, part of it is putting down men, and women find that very empowering. But it's also a competition between women. And what women are doing is a woman will say, I won't accept a man unless he makes $60,000 a year and he's 5'9" and he's average looking. Like, I won't take any less than that. And another woman next to her will say, oh yeah, well, I deserve, meaning I am better than you. I deserve a man that's 6 foot tall. And I won't accept anybody that makes less than $100,000. And he's got to be muscular in a 6-pack. And he's got to take me out in a Ferrari. And he's got to have a boat. And what happens is women just compete against each other, where you literally have women that are barely scratching at being average coming out and saying a man must be worth millions of dollars and pay $10,000 a month for my lifestyle if I'm going to have anything to do with him. In the meantime, she's had 3 kids and 2 of those guys are in prison. It's a way to virtue signal that I am better than you because my standards are higher than yours. Therefore, you're a pick me. And so you've got women doing this and men seeing this. And then a vast majority of men getting no action on dating apps. I think if an average guy got a decent looking woman, or one that he found was dateable and of his same quality, he'd probably not be doing any of this banter. But he'd probably say, let's go get a coffee. Let's go get something simple, something quick, something non-committal. A formal dinner, a fancy restaurant, you're stuck there. Sometimes, depending on the place, before you even put the first bite of food in your mouth, it might be 5 or 10 minutes till the waiter comes up to take your order. It might be another 10 minutes till you get your food. You're 20 or 30 minutes in before your first bite of food. Then you got to chit chat while you're eating, which is hard because you can't talk with your mouth full. And then what happens if she's ordering drinks? What happens if she wants a dessert? You might be tied up for an hour and 150, $200 now. It is not cheap. And if you're already a guy that's trying to save his nickels and get ahead in life, that is a whole lot of commitment for 25% of women that may bounce on you, and something like 60 or 70% that just straight up ghost after you go on the date. Maybe they weren't there for a foodie call, but maybe they just didn't click and they're like, well, I got the dessert or the dinner and dessert. I'm going to roll out. I'm not going to bother contacting them again. If that happens to you as a guy 1 or 2 times, you're maybe $300 or $400 deep into dating on 2 or 3 dates. And you say, I can't afford to do this. I'm not going to do this anymore. So if we're taking the generous man, that's where he's coming from, saying, I can't afford this stuff, man. And this is not a conversation that generous man would have. But what if it's a top earner, a good-looking guy, a guy that has options? This is the exact conversation he'd have. And it's not about finding, your balance and being a leader and inviting her into your world and showing her that you're a provider and that you're a good man and you can meet on equal footing. This is a dude that's just like, I'm not getting played and I have zero investment in you.
No, that's and his implication here is that she should basically be a prostitute. It's like, well, I'm going to pay for the dinner. What are you doing? And the implication being like, well, obviously, I'm going to have sex with you. It's like, just get a hooker, man. That's what you're after. That's what you're treating it like. You should be essentially heading this right off at the pass. Like, oh, what, we ain't splitting any bills. What do you have in mind? She's not a whore. You're meant to be taking ownership of her. That's what she's.
First of all, this is not a situation where you're going to be taking ownership of her. Not with, we ain't splitting any bills, sir, and I'm broke, and you need to take me someplace nice, and I provide good company and nothing else. You're not taking any ownership here. Like, that's not what's going on. Number 2, he says, hire a professional if that's what you want. You don't understand. He doesn't need to hire a professional. This is a guy with options. He's got other options. He's fishing. And she's nibbling at the bait, and if she takes it, great. And if she swims off, he just leaves the hook in the water for another couple of minutes, and he's got somebody else to talk to.
She's actually asking for there. And this is what this woman is trying to comment on. It's like, look, being at the head of a hierarchy means you take ownership over the things that are beneath you. And so you're there to help them, to protect them, to guide them, to provide for them if necessary. And that's what she's asking for. She's not a prostitute. You're not supposed to be dating a prostitute. What you're meant to be doing is saying, of course, I'm going to pay for that. And you're going to join me in doing the thing that I'm suggesting that we do. As in, I have a direction in life that I intend to travel, and you're going to incorporate her into that. And that's what she's asking for, by the way. So, no, I don't want this bill split. I want to be brought into someone's life so I can be the wife, presumably the mother, presumably the housewife, the person who takes care of everything. That's what she's asking for there. And this guy is so polluted by modernity. And so this entire account, men are starting to know their worth. No, he's not. No, if you're not understanding this at all. You're viewing men's worth only through money. And he says, well, I've worked hard to get where I am in life. Yeah, no shit. Like, well done. Like, you're not going to get a pat on the back for that. Why are you acting like you are soliciting a prostitute rather than courting? Right? You have.
My dude. Oh, sweet, sweet Benjamin. Why are you not courting women on a dating app? Even women themselves have said it's a hookup app. That's all this is. So many people do not expect to meet the love of their life on this. It is a hookup app. And what he's doing is vetting if she's worth his time. Now, again, I just mentioned this. I won't go too deep into it. Why is he vetting for her time? Okay, you want me to take you out? What are you going to give me? My time. Okay, I got other people to give me that. What else? That's it. This is not some deep mating ritual. This is not courtship. This is not she's looking for a man to establish himself and show dominance and to invite her into the world where she can become a wife. Trust me, this guy plus all of us would never want this woman for a wife. I don't know what she's done in her past, but to have this kind of attitude and the fact that she says she struggles just to pay rent, I guarantee you she's done things for money. And as a matter of fact, she's probably got an OnlyFools account. This is the type of woman you do not want to do anything with, in my personal opinion. But if you are going to do it, wrap it 3 times and do a Hail Mary before you dive in. He just does not understand the true nature of not only dating apps, but modern women. And where we are. And I find it endearing and sweet that Carl still has this naive, warm, and gratiating view of the world. I think it's very white pilled. It's very beautiful. But if you're down here in the trenches, man, you can't believe in that world, or you're going to get run over time and time again.
Have to show that actually your eminence, your magisterium, extends all around you and to people beneath you, so you can trust that you are competent and can take care of things and can deal with things. So when there is a crisis, she's not on her own and afraid. You are in some way superior to her on this, and you can deal with it. You can take care of the problems, and in exchange, she will open herself up to you in the way that I think that is
my dude. If you're good looking enough and you get a wine spritzer in her, she will open herself up to you 3 times that night. Trust me on that. So, oh, Carl, you beautiful, naive man. You beautiful, naive man.
Actually what you want, but don't know how to communicate. And so actually, I think it's the man who's really dropped the ball on this. And it's because this woman is actually trying to move into the sort of mode that this woman is criticizing. Like this woman, I assume, isn't engaging in this kind of intersexual competition, and actually has some idea of what she wants from a man. And that's a good thing, actually. You would think having a woman who knows what she wants from a man is actually good. Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate, yeah, she could just be using you for a female. Yeah, okay. That's life, right? That's the way things are. I'm sure it happened plenty of times to me when I was young. And, you know, I'm sure it's worse now, though, don't get me wrong. But there is a kind of form that you're supposed to be moving into. And what this does is raises you higher on this hierarchy. And if you don't do that, and if you allow yourself to be like, you know, compressed down from the very feminine view of Hassan Piker, or
he just misses he misses the ball on this one. But imagine you're a young guy today, and look, we already know there's a struggle. I think something in the UK, I think I read somewhere where the average income, and it may be individual, it may be household, I don't recall, but it's somewhere around £50,000, which is, you know, kind of similar to the United States, something like 50 or 60 grand. I don't know, again, if that's household or individual. But when you take the cost of housing and the cost of food and the cost of movies and the cost of everything today, do you think a young man that may only get 1 or 2, maybe 3 opportunities a month to even have a conversation, let alone date, do you think he's willing to throw $100 to $200 out the window 2 or 3 times a month? And he says, you know, that's $600. That's enough that if I put that in investments, or it might help me pay for my vehicle insurance, or maybe that's to keep the lights on. Like, guys do not have a lot of money to throw around right now, especially when you see the quality of women that are out there. But take example, the young man that does do this, how many times does it take him getting burned until he says, nope, no more. We're going to go for coffee, or we're going to go 50-50 if you want to do something fancy. I'm not doing this anymore. Because if you do continue to do it after the first few times you get burned, who's the sucker? You're the sucker. You're the one that's dishing out $300, $400, $500 a month just to try to find somebody. And in the meantime, it's not going anywhere. Like, it's a very optimistic view. I mean, you know, Carl's supposedly got his finger on the pulse of the UK, talking about immigration, talking about politics, talking about jobs, talking about the cost of living, talking about crime. But yet he's completely blind to what young men are going through, or even middle-aged men, what they're going through when it comes to relationships. Just utter blinders on.
Yourself to be like, you know, compressed down from the very feminine view of Hassan Piker, or the sort of, like, you know, Sabrina Carpenter bitchy status games nonsense, without actually raising yourself up the hierarchy by doing the things that put you at the top, then you're never going to get ahead in life. And so this, I genuinely find this deeply inappropriate. Like, it should be assumed you're going to pay for it, but then you will be able to assume a far greater number of things after that. Obviously, my wife doesn't pay for things. She never paid for a date when we were dating. You know, obviously I'm paying for these things, but there are expectations on her too. And that's what this is trying to break. The idea that there should be expectations. It's like, no,
okay, he kind of goes off on a little bit of a tangent, but you kind of get the idea. It is, he says you should be at high status and show your high status by paying for the date and by inviting her into your world. My dude, this is a very high status dude already. He's so high status that he can blow women off left and right if they don't give him what he wants, and he gets more matches. He's a tech startup finance guy. He's got money. And if he doesn't, and here's where I'll wrap this up with. If he doesn't have that status, this is how you play the game to show that you have status. How many videos do you see online where it's like, and if you're on X, you especially see this. How many videos do you see online where women say, oh, I thought I wanted a nice guy, but I dated one and they were boring. And I like the bad boys. I like the guys that don't respect me a little bit.
What's the hottest thing a guy can do?
I'm not really into nice guys because I like boys, so I can't really think of anything nice that they can do.
And what's the worst thing a guy can do?
I guess be nice.
Be nice.
Because I feel like if a guy is nice, that means he gets no girls. But then I'm on social media like, I want a guy that gets no bitches, but like that's just not true. So
Okay.
Carl, I'm glad you met your wife when you did. I'm so happy you met a good woman so far. And I only say so far because we know the statistics on divorce. I know people that started off like you and ended up like me, aka Steven Crowder, because of what happened with his divorce. I think it's wonderful if he goes through life the rest of his life thinking this is how dating and men and women should interact. Good for him. Good for him. He's married. He doesn't have to care. But it's nowhere close to being accurate. And let's see what some of the comments say. We'll sort by top comments here. Top comments. The women's profiles by and large are just a list of demands. True. The next one, no, Carl, the Hinge exchange was not him failing to step into the dominant role. It was him simply returning the spite and animosity that most modern women exude. This is a give and take, and the woman like this only take. His response was justified and valid. Someone else says, I have never met a woman who understands men and doesn't project their own actions and feelings onto men. Somebody else. Now, remember, these are all the top replies. Sargon, you're out of date. You would have been right in the 1990s. Everything else has gotten so much worse than you can realize as a married man. The next one, no, this is the one of the few times you're wrong. Modern women are very different than they were when you were dating. Any woman that tells you you're paying is almost certainly a foodie call. The next one, I have woman fatigue. There's nobody agreeing with him in the top, 20, maybe 50 comments. I didn't read down through all of them. Nobody agrees with him on this one. I don't agree with him either. The truth is the times have changed very quickly and very harshly. And because of women's trying to outdo each other and virtue signal each other, they've all outwardly, at least, exclaimed that their demands from men are much higher than they've ever been. And so when they're doing this virtue signaling stuff and saying, oh, well, I demand this and I demand that, even if the women themselves don't believe it, other women believe it, which is just hyping up the cycle. But furthermore, men are believing it. And because men believe it, they're starting to get to the point where they say, you know something, I'm not going to try anymore because I'm getting used, I'm getting lied to, I'm getting ghosted, I'm getting cheated on, they're leaving me. Like everything there's not a whole lot of light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't want to do this anymore, to be quite frank with you. Now the women need to try for me. And when the women say, well, we're not trying for you, there you go. And now you have a whole bunch of men that aren't dating, a whole bunch of women that are just sleeping around with the best men. Welcome to modern dating. Guys, if you like my work, make sure to join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com, or for those of you on YouTube, at least get over to Rumble. The channel is Odd Man Out, because I also do news stories over there. Anyway, come on over, join us. Great community of like-minded guys. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can check out the forums, check out the topics we're talking about, and you can see the live streams that I've done in the past. And then if you say, hey, you know something, I kind of like this, I dig this, I want to be a part of this community where I can post and share things and join some of the live streams that I do for supporters only, it's $5 a month, which is literally less than a crappy cup of coffee from Starbucks. So come on over, join us today. I think you'll appreciate it. Enjoy the members only live streams that I do. It's a good time. It's a good community. So come on over, check it out, and you won't regret it.